Welcome back, friends. You'll remember the last time we were just leaving Marco Island and getting ready to turn south, go down past 10,000 Islands towards the Keys. So that's where we're going to pick it up this time. Fish on! So you know how we do it on good times. We just did get out of the inlet. You can see the buildings off there in the distance, and we got our lines out. It wasn't no time we got hooked up. And of course we was wanting dinner, so we was trying hard to make sure we got this one in, and we put him on board, got us another mackerel for dinner later that night.
Come on, buddy. Yes, sir.
Bam!
Yeah, he's big.
Alright, sir, get back underway. Trying to get our last Texas through. Oh. Trying to get our last text through. We're pretty much out BFE now. Heading off the tip of Marco. We'll be without service for at least late tonight or tomorrow. Well, it depends on how much time we make. But I don't think my last Facebook's going to go through. But we will be here. This is like the 10,000 Islands area. It's the extreme tip of Florida, western tip. And definitely old Florida for sure. And it's a pretty interesting part. Very shallow though. You have to go way offshore. Noses, 2s and 3s in some of that area. You got to go out and turn. You got to go out of Marco and then turn and go back. That's what we're doing. That's my turn point, that mark. That's where I'm going to pivot around and then work back in. The weather looks pretty good. Right now it's got like 2 to 3s. And we're supposed to have wind coming. It's out of the south right now, but it's supposed to have been primarily out of the east, which would protect us because of the Florida Peninsula, but it's turned, it's more out of the south, which is fine because it gives us a nice cool breeze. It feels good. So we're making way. Getting on to be about lunchtime, 12 o'clock. Pretty much out in the middle. Just making way. About 8 knots and about 13 foot of 14 foot of water. We're about 4 miles off. Your camera won't see it, but that is the 10,000 Islands area. We're going. Our next point is in 24 miles. I think that's right at the Shark River, and then we'll run closer to the coast to Cape Sable. Nothing new though. That. You know, Good Times is a very comfortable boat. When you got people on there to help you, you can go down and do things like this. I went down and had some computer stuff. I wanted to start loading my videos into the computer, and man, I tell you, I can't think of too many nicer places to mix video than, you know, when you're underway like this. You just look up and you look around, especially in beautiful weather like this. Seas are not too bad. You just absolutely enjoy it. I'll tell you, it is a good time. I also want to tell you, you know, a lot of you know I got my captain's license, and part of the reason is so that I can share these experiences with other people. So if you're a person, and male or female, and ladies, don't be scared, we got a whole separate cabin on the boat, but we'll be offering some trips, and they're very reasonable, where you can come along on something like this and be part of the crew and get to really experience what it's like. So I'm gonna leave an email address, and if it's something that you think you'd be interested in, drop me a line and I'll put you on the list, and we'll start reaching out to you on the next trip. Well, we finally made it down to Cape Sable, which is pretty much the tip of Florida here. And we coming by, getting a little closer, we can get a little look for them to see what old Florida looks like. There's absolutely nothing. No condos, no anything. This is old Florida like it was forever. Yep, we're in Everglades National Park. So it's about 5 o'clock. We're gonna pop the top on the cold beer, because it is 5 o'clock. And we're gonna turn this corner right here, and then we're heading on. Our next time I set this with a destination, it'll be for one of the keys. We'll have a straight shot. No turns, no anything. So we are on the final leg of the trip. It is beautiful out. The weather's been good for this crossing. So this was like what was it, a 60 mile? Like a 60-mile cross here. We're out most of the time, you couldn't see land. So we're close now. So as we were making our way south here and passing Cape Sable, I was looking at the time and I was like, you know what, we need to stop. I want to see that. I've been by here before and it seemed like I'm always in a hurry, and we're not in a hurry, so I want to stop and go ashore and just see what, experience and see what the adventure is on the island. So we did. We was a little nervous because not knowing whether how shallow it was or whatever. But it ended up working out perfect that we dropped the anchor about 100 yards out and back down, and we were able to get ultimately within about 20 feet of shore. And we got off and walked around, and it was really cool. I'll show you some pictures and video of that.
Not set. You want me to set it?
It's going to set itself. What we're doing is letting it drift us back to the shore, Tyler. That's just so when you want to stop it, you can stop it, but let it play out. Fish on! No, not really. Is it coming out? Let it out. I mean, let some out. Huh? Okay. Let it. Hey. Okay. Well, leave it behind it. Just undo one side of the loop. You're already behind it. There you go. There you go. Now just let it slide out. Because all you got to do is pull that up and it'll stop. That's right. So after we got Good Times anchored up, I wanted to show a little quick video here about where we are. So Cape Sable is the tip of the mainland, and as you can see right there on that point is about where we were, and it's a beautiful, it's part of the Everglades National Park, so there's absolutely nothing there. You can only get to it by water. You can't get to it by land unless you tramp through the Everglades, and that's probably not going to happen, but it is a beautiful, beautiful place. So the mountain man jumped in the water there just to determine and make sure how deep it was, and it was actually over his head there, and he swam backwards, until he could touch bottom, and then kept going back. You got to be very concerned, as I was, about backing up too close, because we were out there where there was nothing, and if we'd have got aground or something like that, we'd just been stuck. So I was very careful before I backed up, but I did eventually let out more line and drift back, get closer to the back, and I also went on the island. That was perfect.
Souvenirs, trip. Alright, now do a little rinse off. Just don't hit the Honda EU 2000. You don't have any salt on you. Don't hit the EU 2000. Couple fries, and that way you spray that.
So after we spent a little bit of time on the island, and I got to tell you, these natural places like this they're so beautiful. They're so natural. This particular place, you didn't see any trash. There was a couple of things that we brought back, but Tyler, he picked up a few sponges and things that are naturally out in the water, some shells and really cool stuff. And that's the thing about these islands, is they don't get walked every day, so stuff that washes up, you'll find it's some pretty cool little treasure, and it really was a good time to get off of there and take a break. And we spent about 30 minutes there, and I actually stopped in a little different place, but pretty much still in Cape Sable area on the way back, and I'm going to show you some great video from that in one of the return trip videos. So it was getting, later on in the afternoon. I think it was around 5:30 or 6:30, and we still had some daylight. We wanted to make a little more direction south. We knew we wouldn't make it all the way across to Florida Bay, and thank goodness we had some really good weather, and we just actually headed until it got dark that you couldn't see, and then we dropped the hook.
Where you at? Which way are you? Alright, well, it'll go back to it, and you just pull it up when it goes back to it. Don't let it go under the boat. It'll go back. I'm going to turn into the waves. Stand by. Let me get in the waves, and it'll lay down. It'll be easy. Stand by. Alright, now you're good.
Okay, so after we left Cape Sable, we still had a couple hours of daylight left, so we just decided to start crossing the Florida Bay till it got dark. Once we couldn't see anymore, we pulled in behind an island, show you there on the map, and we stayed there that night. And then the next morning we got up, and it took several hours, and then we crossed the bay over toward the Keys. So that night before, I want to back up and talk about that for a minute. I'm going to show you a couple pictures, and the first picture I'm going to show you, which they're not my pictures, pulled them from the internet, but they're pictures of what you would normally see, like whenever you have a bunch of artificial light, say, around town. When you get out in the middle of the water like we did, the second picture I'm going to show you is when there's no artificial light and it's completely dark. When you stare up at and when you look at the stars, you will see so many stars that it's really overwhelming how many that are actually there. And the more that you stare, the more that you see. If you ever get an opportunity to get out on a boat like this and get way away from land or get real far deep into the woods, you know, possibly mountains where there's no artificial light from nearby cities, you should do that and you will be amazed at what you see.
All right, we're getting ready to drop the anchor for the first time. I've seen all these boats out here. We can't keep going. We gotta try. We're seeing some good bottom. We're gonna see how. See it? Yeah. All right, Tyler. Anchor down. Just pay out about 30 feet. At a hole, because we're only in 6-8 foot of water.
So at this point, we had worked over pretty close to the keys through that morning, and we were seeing boats. You know, everybody was anchored out. They were already starting to lobster, and this was the first day. Due to our late start, we wanted to be there the day before. So as of this morning, we could be in the water lobstering for the 2-day mini season. So this was the first stop that we made to get in the water and just kind of see what we seen, but we didn't really get anything there.
Just caught.
So Jimmy was going to be the one to get in and take a look around and see what he'd see. We were looking for hard bottom, you know, some rocks or some type of coral, whatever. That's where the lobster are going to be. I was setting the boat up, throwing a tag line out. We have a 50-foot tag line that we always throw out behind the boat because you never really know what the current is, and if it's, you know, ripping through there, you want to have a rope so that the person who gets in the water, the diver that gets in the water, can go to it and pull themselves in. So that's definitely a safety item you want to have before they get in the water.
Need a weight belt. He can't hardly get down. Hey, how about, swim that way for about a few feet. Swim that way. Well, we just tried a couple little places just as we was crossing the bay coming in. Both of them are strictly grass. I don't know the good areas over here yet. It would take a lot of time, and I'll eventually find them, but it'd take a lot of time getting finding holes, little lobster holes on this side, but we're gonna go ahead and go to the east side and find some reef. You're gonna have them there, bridges and stuff like that. They'll definitely be there. But we was just trying it since we were passing it anyway, just see what we were working with. But we're back underway now. That's the keys. You can see it. There's a bridge right there. Islamorada is way up that way. But we're going to go through, and we'll start working our ways north. Get up to the outside. So the adventure has begun.
So we pulled the anchor. We tried a couple of more spots, but we weren't really successful. So we decided to head on up to Islamorada and went on the outside and worked our way into the marina.
Coming in to the channel here at Islamorada. Also known as the sandbar.
Here's a time lapse we did coming into the marina. And man, I gotta tell you, I was excited to be there. That was 300 miles that we did, 3 days. It was sure nice to be there. So after we got Good Times all tied up, it was time to go get checked in. And then we came back, took a few pictures, just sort of looked around, see what kind of amenities that they had offered. And it was an absolute beautiful place. Was super excited about being there. And then just realized it was getting late and I was tired and I wanted to relax. We had some brocks that we put on the grill and then sort of just sit back and enjoy the being there, watching as it sort of got dark. And this place again with their lighting system and all is just so nice after it gets dark, and was just happy to be there and was thankful for a good trip. You know, a lot of people don't realize, but it takes me hours to do these videos. So much work involved. So if you enjoy them, how about hit that like button and maybe share them with some of your friends. And if you'd like to see more of these, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know whenever, a little notification bell, you'll know whenever they come out. So we got some good ones coming up. This was just the beginning of the Keys trip in 2019. Y'all take care. See you soon.